Welcome to another video from Gweilo 60. Today we're going to be talking about Serpentza and what do I think about the South African YouTuber from Shenzhen. I keep getting requests on my channel asking me, what do you think of Serpentza? What do you think of Serpentza? What do you think of Serpentza? So I thought, how can I do this? Okay, I can just watch some of his videos and make up my mind and just either say I like him or I don't like him. Yeah, I could do that. Or I could get a hold of him and say, hey Winston, I want to do a video about you. Can you answer some questions for me? And so that's what I did. I messaged him on his YouTube channel, and pretty well right away he got back to me and said, yeah, that's good. He got back to me right away, probably because I'm so famous, or maybe not.
Welcome to Gweilo 60. So Kirk, aka Gweilo 60, has asked me a bunch of questions which I'm going to be answering for you right now, and I hope it helps you understand a little bit more about me and maybe a little bit more about the whole, China YouTuber scene.
So Winston, the first question I'd like to ask you is you're from South Africa. I never see you talk about going back to South Africa in any of your videos. Do you go back to South Africa? Do you have family, friends there? What's the story on that?
When was the last time I went to South Africa? That would have been in 2008. I went to South Africa for about a week. Although my parents have actually come to visit me here in China a number of times, and also I've met my parents elsewhere. I met them in India and in Mauritius. So, I do still see my parents on a fairly regular basis, but I don't travel back to South Africa really at all.
Got a question. You've been in China for a long time. Another question. I'm full of questions. You've been in China for a long time. What does the future hold for Serpentza or Winston Sturzel in China? I know you're married to a Chinese girl, and that's got to have something to do with you living in China at this point. But what do you see as your future goals, I guess? Does it include China? Do you want to stay here forever? Do you want to move back to South Africa? What are your long-term goals?
So how long do I think I'm going to stay in China? Well, I'll be honest with you. When I moved to China in 2006, it was February of 2006, I was here for an adventure, and I didn't really see an end to that adventure. I just continued to play the game as it went. So, year after year, I would try to improve my life here, try to improve my working conditions, my living conditions, of course, my relationship conditions, and constantly just focusing on what was important in my life. So I didn't have an idea of when I was going to leave or how long I was going to stay, but in the back of my mind, I always wanted to stay for as long as possible because, I absolutely love China, and my experiences here have been amazing. All the adventures I've had and all the brilliant and interesting people I've met, as well as all the weird and nasty people I've met along the way, it's still a fantastic place. So I didn't really have an idea about how long I would stay. But, I have to be realistic about it, and as a human being, we all want to have stability in our lives. And that's not something that China can really offer a foreigner. The visa options are quite limited, and you can never really feel safe and secure that you will be able to have a long-term future in China. So it's a little unnerving, you more or less have to live year to year, visa to visa.
So, when I asked Winston to video some questions to some answers, it's like, how do I put this? He does it for a living, so it would be like asking a mechanic to fix your car for nothing, because it's his job. It's not like say I have a 1967 Cuda Hemi in my garage and I'm tooling on it to have fun. That's what I do with my YouTube channel. You see, Winston does it for a living, and when you do a channel for a living, you have to put out a lot of content, and he's got, I think, between 700 and 800, if I'm not mistaken, videos out. And during that time period over the last 10 years, I'm sure he said some things that people don't agree with. I know that he's got a lot more haters on his channel than I do. And I guess that comes from stating your opinion in public. And, no public figure out there that I know of has 100% I like you rating, except for me, of course. But with me, because if I don't, I believe in censorship. If I don't like a comment, or a comment's belittling or racist, or any of the bad things that I think is bad, I just delete it. So, and I notice that Winston doesn't do that, so there becomes more of a conversation, maybe a little bit more radical on his channel than on mine. And maybe that's why he gets a little bit more hate than a little bit more than somebody like me. But I think it comes with the territory. I think that it wouldn't matter who did videos about China, or any country for that matter, that wouldn't get hate mail. And that's just, I think, the way that the system works. You've been in China for 12 years and making videos for 10 of those 12 years. In the first 9 years-ish, you gained about 115,000 subscribers if Wikifax is telling the truth. I get all my information off the internet because the internet never lies, okay? And then in the last year, you popped it up to just about 300,000 subscribers. Did your head swell up? Did you become one of those snobby Hollywood type characters, or how did you handle it? How do you handle something like that? Because I know with somebody like me, it would probably go to my head. I would definitely drink more beer. How do you handle it, Winston?
So does the growth of my channel and sort of my notoriety go to my head? Because my channel has grown a lot. I am fairly well known, and the more I do this, the more people become aware of me, there are articles about me online, and I'm getting a lot more recognition these days. But I think the secret to success in this regard is to not let it go to your head. Because as soon as you start to become arrogant about your position, that's when things start to go terribly wrong, and people start to think of you as being completely disingenuous, and that's not the kind of person I am. And that's why my videos do so well, and also draw so much hate, and that's because I'm not willing to drop my standards of just observing what I see around and speaking my mind. And although of course I am careful what I say, because when you're a high-profile figure in China, and when I say high profile, I don't mean as if like I'm a super high-profile person, but obviously a lot of people know about me. You have to be incredibly careful what you say, because you can't mention anything political, or you cannot mention anything sensitive, because of course that's just a huge mistake, and that's not something that I do. And so I've avoided talking about politics, and I've avoided talking about these sort of sensitive issues during the 10 years now that I've been making YouTube videos, and I will continue to do so. But back to what I was trying to say is, I don't let it go to my head, because I understand that this sort of thing can be very fleeting, and it comes in waves. I'm loved for a minute, then I'm hated for a minute. My videos do well for a minute, then they do poorly for a minute. It's not a stable situation. I have chosen to make a career out of it, which is risky and difficult, because I cannot rely on a paycheck every month. I get support from my fans, and I get support through YouTube, but it's not as much as people would like to believe it is, and it can be a struggle and a worry month to month. So I'm focusing on trying to improve, and that's where it lies. I don't focus on resting on my laurels. I don't focus on pretending I'm some kind of famous celebrity or anything like that. I focus on how I can improve my videos, and what interesting topics I can cover next.
I watch your other channel, ADV China with Matt Lau 86, and I noticed that you guys have been making videos for a number of years now, and they're pretty good. I like them. More adventurous than anything else, riding motorcycles around and having all of that fun. Do you have any new projects in the making? Another thing is, I noticed Matt was in the States. Is that a permanent thing, or is he coming back to China? Do you guys, have plans for the future in dealing with more videos? What's the story there?
Question about sea milk. We do a lot of videos together. In fact, we're currently filming something together as we speak. He lives in Gweilo, which is a little bit of a way away from me. But we sort of alternate week to week. I drive up there or he drives back. He's currently visiting family and doing some things in the US, but he'll be back soon. But in the meantime, actually, we're still working together. It's kind of interesting. We're doing this series about finding the best Chinese food in America, right? The most authentic. And so he's currently editing that. I shot everything. I did all the filming, and he's doing the editing. So right now, for instance, while he's editing a video about Sichuan food, because we went to a Sichuan restaurant, Tuancai, we shot the food there in America. And so now it's my job, right now in China, to go find a good Sichuan restaurant and film the food there, so we can make a proper comparison in the edit. You can put them back like next to each other and say, look, the Sichuan food in America compared to the Sichuan food in China, is it authentic? Does it look the same? Does it taste the same? So I'm spending a lot of time actually going to restaurants here at the moment in order to complement our series, which should be, 3 episodes are out. It's going to be an 8-episode series. So, it's still going to continue for over a month on the ADV China channel, but it's great fun. And I think one of the most rewarding parts of that is that the restaurants that we actually went to film in, they're all run by Chinese people who've moved to America. They've opened up their restaurants, etc. It's been incredibly satisfying to get feedback from them, because the videos are driving customers to them. And ever since, for instance, our first episode was about baozi and jiaozi in San Diego, and ever since we released that video, their customers have grown a lot. And the customers are going in there. My subscribers are sending me feedback as well when they go in there. The boss of the restaurant's always saying how our videos helped with the traffic there, as far as customers are concerned, and it's incredibly rewarding. And it's something that I'm quite proud of, to be honest.
For all us YouTube wannabe vloggers, a question on equipment, and you're probably the one to ask on this. If you had one camera and one lens that you could use, say, okay, from now on you can only use this one camera. What would it be? What camera and what lens would you use to do all of your vlogs?
If I could use only one camera and one lens, well, it's very simple. It would be the camera I'm using right now, which is a Sony FDR AXP55, which is basically a handy cam, and I do look like a bit of a dad walking around with it, but it's got fantastic 4K and it's got amazing stabilization, a very versatile lens with like 20 times the optical zoom, and I shoot all of my walk and talk vlogs on this. And with a little bit of effort, I can actually make the footage look pretty good. So I can even use it for B-roll in a pinch.
Okay, Winston, I've got one last question for this part 1 of the 2-part series of Who is Serpentza. I've always felt that when I go back to Canada or the States after I've been in China for a number of years, I find that I don't fit in as well as I used to. I don't know, something has changed. I see things differently because I've been in China too long. Well, I guess maybe not too long, but in China for a long time. Do you think that you're going to have a problem if you ever move back to the Western world? Do you think you're going to have a problem fitting in? And I know it's a question that a lot of the expats in Nanning or in China, but mainly Nanning that I know of, they all have this little bit of a concern in the back of their head that, am I going to fit in? How's that going to work, you know? What's your thought on that?
So after spending so much time in China, which is now 12 years that I've been here, do I see myself being able to fit in the West? Absolutely. I mean, I recently did a trip through the west coast of America with my friend Seamilk, and we did a series about finding the best Chinese food in America. And you know, going there, I felt, you know, completely fine, fit right in. You know, I had a wonderful time. Got along very well with the customs and the locals. It was so nice to drive in reasonable traffic because, you know, let's be honest here, driving in China is difficult for everyone involved. But it was so nice to be able to, you know, that was actually a bit of a culture shock for me, was the ease of driving there. And of course, the friendly and awesome people there, and all the Chinese friends and subscribers that I met in America, you know, the majority of them have adapted to life there so well and integrated so well. It's just amazing to see. Absolutely love going and exploring other countries, not just the West, but, you know, India and Japan and various other places that I've been during my stay here. It's just always a treat, and I think I'm pretty versatile. I could fit in almost anywhere. You know, having grown up in Africa and having to deal with people from all different backgrounds and different cultures growing up, I'm pretty suited to fit in almost anywhere.
You know, this is part one of a two-part series. This is the more serious video. The next video is not so serious, but we'll do this one first. You see, how do you put this? Who is Serpentza? After I've you know, researched it for about a week, I guess, and you know, talked to him, emailed, messaged back and forth. Who is this guy? Well, from what I can understand, he was an adventurous young character from South Africa with some technical skills that came to China back when he was 25 years old. Now he's 37. He's getting old too, just like me. Yeah, well, not quite like me, but so this young man came from South Africa, adventurous, and you know, did various jobs, I guess, in China. From, I would imagine, he was teaching, and I think his last gig was teaching doctors, from what I take from his videos. Okay, and he got into vlogging about 2 years after he got to China. Well, okay, that's fine, and back then, and he was the first in China to get her done type thing. Okay, so after 12 years of doing this, what this guy has done is turned a hobby or a passion for adventure in a foreign country like China, well, exactly like China, because it is China, and turned his hobby into an actual career. Wow, how's that for living the dream? Not only do you get to go experience a new country that's totally different than anything that you've ever imagined, and take my word for it, I was here just about 15 years ago. It was a different beast back then than it is now. But you know, so this young man, adventurous young character, built a business around his hobby, I guess, or his interests would be more like it, because not only does he like to do videos, he likes China. A lot of the people out there think that he doesn't, but I don't know. I think they're wrong about that. I think the adventure of it all, it has got its hooks into him, and I don't think it's going to let go anytime soon. Analyze Serpentza, a young adventurous character from South Africa that turned his adventurous lifestyle into a brand name career on YouTube. Yes, and don't more of us wish that we had not only the the skills to do that, but the internal fortitude to go for it and make it actually happen. I'm gonna give this vlogger a thumbs up, and you know, the idea that he came to China without a job, went home and sold all the stuff. You got a taste of China, and went home, sold all the stuff, and came back to China without a job or anything. You know, you got to have a big set of cojones to do that. And that's another video from Gweilo 60. As always, if you like this video, like, comment, subscribe, push that share button. And if you don't, hit the dislike button. That's your prerogative.